What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. That's what we had for the first, 6 minutes of this game, Eric? If you know, you know. The freaking tick, man. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we're officially tanking, okay? I'm going to tank this stream by placing tanks on the intro. I'm going to tank this stream by utilizing Root Sports' newest feature. And Root Sports was tanking today, and the Blazers were tanking today officially. Eric, welcome in to the Blazers Uprise Tank Rise show presented by BetOnline. The Blazers are tanking. They lose 124-96. This Tank Rise post-game show is brought to you by BetOnline. Use the promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus. If the spread is within 20 for the rest of the season with the Blazers, you can get in on that action with that promo code BELIEVE, and you can get rewards. March Madness going on right now. My Gonzaga Bulldogs play tomorrow. I'm very nervous for that game. You can have fun getting in on that action. Bet online where the game starts. Okay, so Eric, it's been a good past couple of days or so, huh?
For you, yeah.
For me, but also for the Blazers and everybody that's rooting for the tank.
Well, I don't know. It's like they can't even do that, right? Like, they play Dame on Wednesday and win the game, and and then they decide to sit everyone after they win. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like you would think they would want to, see if they can win another game and maybe talk about making the playoffs. So it's just kind of weird, the mixed signals. Like Chauncey comes out yesterday and says they're not going to lose games and he's going to coach to win, which of course he is, but and he has to say that, but. And then, Dame's talked all season about not giving up as long as they have a chance. And then they come home after a win. And, the standings are still right there to get the playoffs if they win a few games here. And they just decide to rest everyone. So I know it's the right thing to tank. Like, that's the right decision. It's just kind of weird mixed signals from everyone. I don't think they're on the same page. And it's kind of like they can't even outright tank right, they're middling on whether they should tank or not, and it's kind of driving me crazy.
I mean, maybe they wanted one more win for the vibes.
Maybe
they, you know what I mean, where Nurkic played well and Dame played well, and they can go out on a high note. And then it was maybe I think Dame got a little bit banged up from that game, and maybe part of him being probable was okay, he's actually a little banged up, and then they just went to him look, dude, you're a little banged up. Let's just do this thing. You guys ended the season on a win, right? I don't know, who knows, but maybe it was they wanted to get one final win in before they lose every game for the rest of the season, because this team that was thrown out there tonight would probably lose every game for the rest of the season. We'll talk about Shaedon Sharpe because he's a clear positive today. He looks good. But when Shaedon Sharpe is your best player, you're tanking. At 19 years old, if a 19-year-old is your best player, you're probably tanking. So,
Yeah.
Dame was probable, ends up out. There was a couple of guys who's questionable? I don't even remember.
It was Nurkic and Little. Little got upgraded to available, and Nurkic got downgraded, yeah.
Which is exactly, if one of those guys was going to play in order to tank, it would be obviously Nassir Little, not Yusuf Nurkic. So, clearly this team, after winning last game, is in tank mode, which is awesome. And we'll update the tank picture because there's been good developments in that regard the past couple of days as well. In regards to the Orlando Magic winning a game and the Wizards winning a game. But there's no doubt anymore, and I was a little bit worried after last game, Eric, and I talked about it on the last post-game show, I'm worried that this team is going to see this win and think, oh, well, we're only 3 games back with 9 games left. That's more games than we had to make up a similar deficit in the bubble, so let's just see what we can do. I don't know. This team has been confusing, like you said, so I was worried about that being a potential possibility. So the fact that we tanked today, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I didn't see any way they'd sit Dame after a win. Because, we heard, whether that was 4 or 5 or 6 games ago, I forget how many it was, but we heard, I think it was Chris Haynes that reported that they're going to let Dame play 5 or 6 more games to see if he can get some wins. So then coming off a win, it just seemed weird. But as some people pointed out in chat, maybe the 58 games just to qualify for All-NBA was the goal, and that's all that mattered to this organization, was making sure he qualified for that. And If he doesn't play the rest of the season, we know that that was probably true. Whether that rule was implemented for this year or not, I think a lot of voters might use that as the barometer going forward. So, yeah, I think maybe they just wanted to make sure Dame got into that 58 games.
Yeah, that's very possible. That's very possible. So we can get those awards and, do right by Dame, make him eligible for postseason awards, and then sit him. I mean, it sucks that a win came of that. But this team legitimately has a chance to tank to the fifth best odds in the draft. Man, if we just lost that Orlando game, we would comfortably be sitting with the fifth best odds in the lottery. We'll take a look at that picture in a second. We'll probably go to that pretty quick because there's really we can talk about a few players from this game actually. First, there's some good players. I agree. First, let me thank this dono, and then I'll let you talk about whoever you want. Talk about Jack M. $5 dono says, Magic still have a game against the Wizards and Pistons. We probably need them to lose both of those for us to have a shot at the fifth slot. Tank away, fellas. I think you meant win both of those for us to have a shot at the fifth slot. But thank you, Jack M. with the $5 dono. Winnable games, but here's the thing. They're actually not that bad. The Magic are not that bad. When they've been healthy this year, they've played close to a 500 ball club. They've just have had injuries at times this season that have made them much worse, and they've been competitive against some better teams. They literally just beat the Knicks. And was that on the road too, or was that at home?
It was at home.
Still, though, they beat the Knicks as a playoff team.
Before we went on air, Rahi pointed out to me that over the last 50 games, the Magic are actually above 500. So it's not like they're only winning against bad teams.
Yeah. So, Orlando's solid. I think it's a 50-50 chance that the Blazers end up either tied for fifth or fifth and sixth. Because this Orlando team is better than this Portland team right now. They have a couple of winnable games left. The Blazers actually have a pretty difficult schedule. And the Blazers are just bad if they're going to play these lineups. They know how to tank. The defense today was just horrendous. But you're not looking for good defense out of this tanking team. You're just looking for individual players playing well. And there was a couple of guys who I thought played well. I'll let you start. I assume you want to start with the leading scorer from today.
Yeah, Shaedon Sharpe is the main person, a main takeaway from this game. The dude looks like he has all the makings of a legit 20-plus point scorer, like easily. I think just the way he moves on the floor, he carries himself like a really good player, I just have no doubts that guy is going to be a legit 20-plus point per game scorer. I don't even think it's going to be that difficult for him.
Yeah, and what's great about this is he gets reps doing things that he doesn't normally do. We haven't really seen him handle the ball much in pick and rolls, and now he's handling the ball in a pick and roll. He threw a bad pocket pass to, I think it was Jabari Walker, but, that sort of mistake isn't a bad thing. It's reps. It's something he hasn't done on the NBA level, so he's going to struggle with things that he hasn't done ever on a level higher than high school basketball. So getting him those playmaking reps and those reps kind of dominating the ball where he's looked at as a guy who needs to create could prepare him for next season, where he will probably have more responsibility coming off the bench as maybe like the sixth man offensively. Now, of course, you need some good defensive pieces off the bench around him, but offensively, I could easily see him being the sixth man next year. So if you're the sixth man, you should be able to create out of pick and rolls, make the right pass for others. He made a couple of good passes in this game, just Blazers shot 19% from three and outside of him, he was 4 for 11. The rest of the team was 2 for 20 from three. So, you can't just look at the assist number for him and base his playmaking off of it. I thought there was a couple of times he made some reads that he hadn't made earlier in the season. So, areas of struggle, they're not going to be super flashy, but I actually think that's where him playing 38 minutes it's what will benefit him the most is working on the things that he's struggling with. We know what he's great at, and we know he can knock down threes. We know he can use his athleticism in order to make plays. He ran out on transition, got a dunk. He had a sick left-handed putback dunk late in this game. So we already know he can do that. It's fun to see it play out. Over 38 minutes that he's playing, especially after Chauncey was barely giving him minutes after the All-Star break. So that's fun. But it's fun to see him score 24. Would love to see him get a 30-point game before the season's out, give him some confidence going into the offseason. But I think it's just the reps doing stuff he isn't used to yet. And then some of the mistakes that he will inevitably make will give him something to learn from. Like, I feel like we're getting a clear picture, even with him playing well the last couple of games, some of the areas where he still needs to work on. So that's why I wanted to play him 38 minutes, to build upon this season, to end the season on a high note, to give him the confidence, knowing he's not going to get yanked if he misses a shot or makes a mistake, giving him the freedom to make those mistakes and learn from them, giving him the responsibility that will help him grow, and then basically just formulating a game plan this offseason, attacking his areas of weakness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was great that the Bulls put Caruso on him, because Caruso is one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. And first play for Sharpe, he hits a step back three on him, and then I like some of the action they gave. You mentioned the pick and rolls and the pin downs and stuff like that. I really liked what they were doing initially with him. In the third quarter, I felt like they just camped him in the corner. It didn't make a lot of sense. It's like you just run some more plays for him, get him going. But I think you just see the flashes tonight of being a number one scoring option, albeit on a bad team, so you can't read too much into it. But, I mean, their defense was designed to stop him, and he did a really nice job, I thought, of handling the pressure, handling the defensive intensity from Caruso there in the first quarter. And, I think that's going to bode well for him in the future. And that pass you were talking about was actually to Eubanks. It was a really good decision to throw the little pocket in between pass, but you gotta bounce it up higher. Like, you gotta get the ball to bounce up into at least to their waist level. He threw it kind of at his feet, but just earlier in the season, he's not making that pass at all. So just the evolution of him actually seeing the floor a little better just speaks to the game maybe slowing down for him. And you can see how this guy could be like a legit, I don't know if star is the right word, but like this guy definitely has the potential to be a star player in the NBA if he continues to develop and put it all together.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing is, as things slow down, he'll think about or recognize how to place that pass. At this point, it comes down to him seeing that pass in the first place, and he saw it, but he's still not processing the game at a fast enough level to be able to like place it perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. That's not a knock on him. That's part of the growth curve. We're talking about developing a player. Yeah, and you like the read. So, take the good with the bad. All of it can be productive. This is why this dude should be playing 38 minutes. I do think something that we've talked about at times this season but became evident today is just he does need to get stronger. Mm-hmm. He does need to be able to absorb contact when he drives better because he gets knocked off his line too much and will lose the ball with contact. And if he could be a guy that could like drive into defenders and create contact attacking the rim, then that's when he'll take his scoring to the next level because like he doesn't have full confidence driving yet. You can see it when he'll have a chance to attack closeouts and he'll pull up from mid-range or he'll, relocate sidestep three, which is a fine shot. But when you got a guy that freaking athletic, you want him to be able to attack those closeouts and get into the paint and like dunk on someone or finish at the rim. And we know he's creative finishing when he's allowed to load up and doesn't get a bunch of contact. I just think He's at a little bit of a strength disadvantage driving the lane right now, so he doesn't have that full level of confidence. And we saw it a couple times where he tried to split a double team off the pick and roll and just kind of lost the ball. And I think that's just something where as he continues to add strength, he'll be more comfortable handling that type of stuff. And then as he adds strength, you'll see him start to jump into defenders more when he finishes. He does at times, but you'll see it more often. You'll see him create contact before he goes up. He'll A, be more confident doing those types of things, but B, he'll also, learn those things in general, because that's something that Damian Lillard's really good at doing. That's something that Anthony Simons has started to get the hang of, and why he's been better finishing and attacking the rim this year compared to a couple of years ago. So that'll be the next part of the growth curve for him as well, and that's just where all the upside comes in, because he's already scored 24 points in this game, 9 for 24 for 11 from 3, meaning he was 5 for 9 inside the arc, but 2 for 2 from the free throw line. He should be a guy that's getting to the line in the future 3-4 times as much, because he's such an athletic freak, and once he has that strength, then he should be able to draw fouls. So it's just crazy that he can have this offensive production, and there's still clear-cut areas where I'm confident he'll improve. So that's where the confidence I think that you have in him becoming a 20-point per game scorer comes in.
Yeah, and to that creating space with strength and stuff. So he has that he'll go into the defender and then he'll turn around and he'll step back 3 or 4 feet and create space, but it's a tough fadeaway, and he can hit that shot. It's just consistently that's a tough one. If you have where you're jabbing into the defender and rising up as you're going at him to create that space, I think he can jump up over the defender most cases and use that athleticism to get his shot off, so he's going towards the rim instead of, or at least square straight up instead of fading back. And once he learns that, it's going to be really nice.
Absolutely. Shout out Jack M with another $5 dono. Appreciate you, Jack. Says, if you could swap Shaedon for any other rookies, who would you take over him? The only one for me would be Banchero. Sorry for the typo earlier. It's all good. You can typo as much as you want in donos, man. I got you. I will correct them. I know what you were trying to say, so it's all good. But as far as your question goes, Banchero, obviously. I'd probably still take Chet. And I know people will say, it's because you're a Gonzaga fan, but you're talking about a big that can play the 4 or the 5 if he's not going up against a strong guy. Yeah, Strother with our first-round pick this year. Add another clutch guy who wears the letter O. How could you not? But I still take Chet, just because it's hard to find bigs that can slide their feet, protect the rim, handle the ball a little bit, pass a little bit, attack off the dribble a little bit, and shoot. The collection of traits are really hard to find. So, yeah, I know he was injured. I'd probably still take Chet. If we were fine defensively, then it'd be much more of a debate. But probably still take Chet. Other than that, everything else is relatively debatable. Jalen Williams would be hard to say no. I see people thinking that he might get some Rookie of the Year votes. He's been phenomenal for OKC. He's the reason they're in the playoff hunt right now. So I think Sharpe has a higher upside than Jalen Williams. The first one that OKC drafted, not the second, the Santa Clara one. We won't even have to make that distinction anymore if he keeps playing this well, Eric. But J-Dub is his nickname. Other than that, I don't know. You can make a case for a couple of other guys as well, but it's been a successful rookie year for him for sure.
Yeah. And Jabari Smith's coming along too now. He's playing really well over the last month or two. And yeah, it's just the problem with Sharpe is, if you're looking at it from the Blazers' point of view, just the ability to get a 6'10" forward who can do a lot of things on the court, like Banchero, is just, I think that is a difference maker on a team that already has scoring. So it's not necessarily that I think those guys are better than Sharpe or have a higher ceiling or anything, because honestly, if we're talking just pure hypothetical ceilings, I think Sharpe's is one of the highest I've ever seen, in a draft. It's hard to know if he'll ever get there, but it's really high. So when you're talking about just potential and stuff, but in terms of what this team needs and what would have benefited this team sooner rather than later, including this year. I mean, obviously those big forwards would have helped a lot. So it's hard to say the potential of Sharpe is better or worse than any of those guys, but I think there's an argument to be made for either side of it.
Yeah, well, we had the conversation a couple of streams ago about his trade value and, you know, what other GMs view him as and would hypothetically give up for him. I wasn't disagreeing with like your assessment on what other GMs would think. I just thought it would be ridiculous for GMs to value him less than
Right.
he was valued when he was drafted or to start the year, because I think this year has been more than what should have been expected from him. So if anything, his trade value should have gone up. Or, you know, obviously players after you draft them, they do naturally decline a little bit in value. But, I mean, it's been a positive, so at worst it cancels out. I still think, you know, he's a really good future piece for this team, but also there's obviously a lot of talk about making a splash this offseason. If you can have like 9 games of tape to end the season where Shaedon Sharpe looks like this, it should hypothetically raise his trade value a little bit. Now, you got to take into context that he's playing for a tanking team and this and that. But,
Well,
I mean, like Ben Mathurin has been able to get over 30 minutes per game for the Pacers this year. They've been about as competitive as the Blazers, but they were more serious about like developing a guy like Mathurin.
Right.
And he's averaging 16 a game, but it's not super efficient. It's like 43% from the field, 32% from three.
It's fallen off, yeah.
Yeah,
it was really good earlier in the season.
If you put Sharpe in Indiana, you know, he could have similar numbers.
Right.
So that's the thing, is when you're talking about this guy as like a trade piece, for those of you who want to make that big splash in the offseason, say Joel Embiid becomes available or some sort of miracle, right? Situation will change like first and second year players' trade values, and it's maybe not fair for what that player's trade value should actually be. So if you're talking about utilizing Sharpe as a trade asset to try and make that splashy all-in move, if it becomes available, then being able to say, look, when he got over 30 minutes a game, he averaged 18 points, and he did it relatively efficiently. That's a selling point. That's a point that Joe Cronin should hypothetically be able to use for leverage if Sharpe's name comes up in negotiations. So that's the other positive about this, is obviously, you know, you don't view Sharpe as just a trade chip or just a future piece. He's both going into this offseason. You don't have to trade him. You don't have to keep him.
But he's also tradable.
Yeah. Regardless of which path is the future, these minutes will be good for that.
Mm-hmm. And these are the minutes that we've wanted since it became obvious we were struggling. Like if we were struggling and we're sitting here with the same record, but it's because we were playing Sharpe like 25 minutes a game or whatever, like I could have lived with that, you know, but we sucked and we weren't like giving him a lot of minutes for a long period of time there. So that was where I had a problem.
Yeah. But
even
it's just,
when Ant went down too.
it's just funny because at the start of the year when he was playing really good, people were saying, basically, he's untouchable. You don't trade him. He needs to be a Blazer, you know, hyping him up like that. And then when he was barely getting minutes, fans seemed a lot more willing to trade him. But then now, after the past 2 games where he looked really good again, right? Maybe his best 2 games of the season, now we have comments in chat that say, you don't trade players like Sharpe. That's insane.
Jesse says, stop saying Sharpe and trade in the
same
sentence.
It's like stuff like that. You know, we're right back to that. But that's the thing, is like with a player like this, your evaluations of what they should be trade-wise shouldn't ebb and flow with like 2 games, right? Especially from a player that wasn't expected to do much this season. Now, smart GMs will take into account that if he's playing 38 minutes on a tanking team for 10 games, maybe you shouldn't, you know, like that's not something that you should let be completely held over your head.
Cam Thomas.
Yeah, you know, Cam Thomas had a couple big games. I mean, where's he been? His name, I'm not hearing his name lately.
He's barely playing now.
We had a couple people in here saying we should just trade Dame for Cam Thomas since Cam Thomas can score 40 as easily as Dame or something like that. Like some just absolutely asinine stuff. So, it's small sample size and everything. Good GMs won't take that too much into account, but it will be a selling point. It will be something that Joe Cronin can try and use for leverage so that he doesn't get totally out leveraged if he does make a trade. But Shaedon Sharpe's not going to be completely untouchable. Like, I'm not saying let's trade Shaedon Sharpe for Lou Dort, you know? Like, I'm not sitting here saying that.
A lot of fans and people said that, this organization wasn't serious if we didn't trade the 7th pick, and now a lot of those same people are absolute Sharpe fanatics, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and now they're saying the Blazers need to trade the pick again.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just funny how that changes. But, yeah, it's like, if Sharpe gets traded, it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be for anything less than a true star. Like a Joel Embiid or a Giannis if he magically becomes available. Like, we're talking about that type of guy. I understand that a lot of you don't want to trade him, but if it's not a conversation for a top 10 player in the league, I don't think you're doing Dame justice, Yeah. If it comes down to that, where you got to trade Shaedon Sharpe, plus other pieces, of course, but if you're saying, no, we're not trading for a top 10 player to pair next to Dame for the first time in his career because we got this 19-year-old that could be good off the bench next year, it's probably not fair to Dame. So don't just, like, this organization is not and shouldn't just trade Sharpe for whatever. When we're talking about Sharpe as a trade chip, we're talking about a huge trade for a big name player. If that big name player doesn't become available, then you don't have to worry about him getting traded.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I mean, that's the painful thing about trading for someone like Embiid if he becomes available. It's like you have to give up players like Sharpe. And, that's going to cost us to get a guy like that. So if we do make an all-in move, especially if we don't get the first pick in the draft, that's going to be the problem. Now, if we get the 2nd or 3rd pick or something, and we're talking about trading 2 potential stars along with the salary filler that it costs, then that's going to be very difficult to swallow. But I think, if it's for a top 10 guy, like you said, I mean, I think you have to give that an opportunity. But short of that, yeah, I don't think it makes sense to just trade Sharpe because he's young or whatever, or trade Sharpe because he's blocked positionally or whatever people say,
Yeah. Yep. So I would like to see a little better defense than he played today down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's not used to playing these minutes, and when he's playing with this tanking team, he's kind of the guy offensively, so I don't know if he has the cardio or conditioning for that, so I understand if he's taking defensive plays off, but, I would like to see him play a little better defense than he did today. Nobody on this team played good defense. Everybody on this team played pretty bad defense today. I don't know. Maybe there's a guy you thought played solid at least on the defensive end, but that is something. That is something. Like, if we talk about him playing next to Dame and Ant in the future, he's gonna have to be better defensively than he has been his rookie year. Which you're not expecting him to be good defensively his rookie year. It's just I'm hopeful that given his athleticism, 7-foot wingspan, potential to put on strength, I think he'll be able to put on strength. I talked about how that would help him offensively, but I also think that'd help him defensively. You hope that he could become a solid defender. Maybe a good defender in the best case scenario. So I would like to continue to see flashes, and people say, oh, that huge block is a flash. Well, he can use his athleticism to do amazing things on the court. I want to see him show more flashes of just being fundamental defensively, like fighting through a screen, making the right rotation, contesting a shot well, etc. So that is something I'm looking for with this period of extended minutes he has coming up.
Yeah, and to me, a lot of his blocks are almost all exclusively just like chase down blocks or blocks where he's in position to go up and get it, and just he doesn't have to think about being in the right position. He's just going after the ball, and until he makes that progression to using that athleticism both on ball, like to contest shots better, I don't think it's going to be perfect. But yeah, you still see how he could use his athleticism to be a good defender, and hopefully that's the next progression. But that's why I wanted him to get minutes all season, is because by now he might be starting to show more of that kind of stuff.
Yep. Shout out Ol Jakob with a 50 Norwegian crony dono says, Eric and Barb can't become a couple. That would be barbaric. Thank you for the dad joke of the year, Jakob. Eric, what do you think about that joke, Eric?
I'm married already anyway.
Oh, I love the joke. Barb, Eric. Anyway, just like half our chat, right? I'm just kidding. Anyway, Trenton Watford had a good offensive game tonight. 5 for 10 from the field, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. He had 15.6 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, this is basically what he averaged as a starter for the tanking Blazers last year. I don't want to get carried away with Trenton Watford looking good for a tanking Blazers team, because he looked good for a tanking Blazers team last year, and then when he was needed this year in big-time games or against big-time opponents, he wasn't reliable. Really on either side of the court. Like, he had a couple good games here or there, but for the most part just was not reliable. And a big part of it is the lack of rebounding at a center spot and lack of shooting at a power forward spot. He's just kind of like positionless and stuck right now. He has talent, man. He has talent. Like, he can attack. He's crafty. He knows how to get to the rim. He can finish. Right, he has that floater. Like, he has skill. That's why, in a situation for a tanking team, that's why he's able to look good in the first place. But when you start talking about a higher level of basketball with guys like that, it's all about, okay, can they fit their role well enough? And that's really the problem with Watford going long term, and nothing I feel like that he shows unless he starts shooting like Damian Lillard these last 8 games. I don't see anything realistically changing how I view him the rest of the season. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I still think he could be a nice role player. I don't know if that could be on like an elite team or not, but yeah, I don't know. He's just not. Unfortunately, we need our forwards to be really good defenders, and he's just not good enough in my opinion. So we need more of the longer athletic forwards that can be disruptive on defense and do the things that he does on offense. And unfortunately, I just don't think there's a huge role for players who can only do one or the other on this team moving forward. But he's got a low enough contract to where he certainly could be a part of the team. I'm not saying they have to dump him, but yeah, I don't know. Like, he shows flashes, but I don't know if he's ever going to have the athleticism to really be a consistent player.
Yep.
So I agree with you there, but he's been playing well. But like you said, it's once again on a tanking team.
Yeah. So I'm not going to get too caught up in that. Eubanks had a solid stat line. Jabari Walker off the bench, 6 for 13, 0 for 1 from 3. I mean, the problem with Jabari Walker, we thought, okay, maybe he could play spot minutes right away. But that was thinking that he would be a legitimate three-point shooter, which he was a legitimate three-point shooter in college. In the NBA, he's a non-shooter, Eric. He shot 13 shots today. Only one of them was a 3, and he missed it. On the season, he's shooting 24% from 3. So,
who was this?
Jabari Walker.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we thought he was going to be, like, potentially a 3-and-D guy, or at least be able to do a little bit of both, and he's just not a three-point shooter, unfortunately, which is surprising because he was a legitimate three-point shooter in college.
Yeah, his shot looks nice. I don't know if it's a confidence issue or just, it's a super small sample size. It's even lower than Watford's sample size if we're going to say that's positive in the right direction because of small sample size. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to judge anything on a that small of a sample size. So, but hopefully he can extend out his range. It's probably going to be the most important thing for him moving forward. Because if he can extend out his range a little bit, that'll definitely help him moving forward to get on the floor.
Shout out to Doug Johnson, $10 donut. Says, Brook Lopez, $75 million, 3-year contract. What are your thoughts of paying that kind of money for him in free agency? Defensive player of the year, 38%, 3-point shooting, 15.6 points, and 2.5 blocks a game. Thank you. Appreciate you, Doug Johnson, for the $10 dono. We're not going to have cap space, unfortunately, so it'd have to be via sign and trade, but then that would hard cap us, and with Grant's extension, it'd be really tough. So it'd be very complicated. I don't see him being an option, especially with the other holes we have on this roster off the bench and at the starting 3. I just think A, it would cost too much. B, it just isn't super feasible to go out and spend that type of money in free agency on a center. So he would be a nice guy to have because he's basically what I wish. Like he's a more consistent shooter than Nurkic is, or at least a more proven shooter, and that he's been freaking phenomenal defensively this year. Brook Lopez, I mean, you can make the argument this season that he's been their second best player because Chris Middleton has been injury plagued and kind of taken a step back. Drew Holiday is still really, really good, so he's probably the guy who's the second best player on the Milwaukee team, but Brook Lopez has been phenomenal. I just don't think it's really feasible. And then shout out to Sing King with the $2 dono. Says, Tori and Eric for co-GM or have them mentor Joe. It'd be fun to be GMs. That's like dream job, but also there's so much that goes into that would be a headache that GMs have to deal with. Like, don't they have to plan like flights and hotels and all sorts of stuff that people don't realize? Isn't there a lot of that?
For what?
Logistical stuff, GMs and...
I don't think they have to do that kind of stuff. I think they pay people to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think Olshey had a part in that or something, but Olshey was a bit of a control freak, so...
I do have some news on that. So this is according to Quick, but apparently at some point in the season, there were several players upset at the way the practice facility was being run and handled. Mm-hmm. And it was just out of control. People were bringing their crews in there and it was basically like rec league games in there and city league, like LA Fitness type atmosphere in there. And players couldn't get in to get treatment sometimes because the practice facility wasn't available and all that stuff. So I know there were several players that were mad at the way the practice facility was being run, and that they also mentioned that that was something that Olshey was, despite how big of a jerk he was, always kept that place completely drama-free and ran that thing like it was, a mecca that you couldn't ever, there were rules and you had to follow the rules and no exceptions and all that kind of stuff. And now, like, players feel like they can't even go there to like work on their game and stuff at certain times of the day or whatever. And that's a problem that the GM should be partially responsible for.
Yeah. So what's the dish? I'm kind of confused.
Oh, just that the practice facility was being run into the ground, basically.
Oh, that's what you heard? Because I'm confused. That was a Quick report, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's what we haven't really talked about it on the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm still kind of confused. Like, that's what you heard from that's info you got as well?
No, I just meant that Quick mentioned it on an interview once, and we hadn't talked about it at all. The show.
Yeah. Okay, I see. You said I got a dish. I was thinking you had info. That's where I was confused. I mean, I hope that's not the case. And you have to wonder if it's not only Dwight James that still talks to Olshey, if it's a guy like Jason Quick, especially since he alienated himself from Damian Lillard and doesn't have as many scoops now because of that, it seems like.
Yeah.
So...
Well, it was the same guy who mentioned the late thing with Sharpe and...
Yeah.
Sharpe and Keon, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, like, you can act like, oh, players are late, and that's a major problem, when it's like two guys that were late once. When there's not specifics on that type of report, you can always over-exaggerate it by being vague, by saying players are late for practice. Because you're not saying, oh, 2 guys were late once. It's just players have been late for practices or something like that. You can word it in a way where it seems like it's worse than it is. So it's always hard to tell with reports that are worded that way. But yeah, I hope that's not a problem. And that's on, like, Cronin and Chauncey would have to collectively get that under control. Like, if that's truly happening, Chauncey needs to go to Cronin like, okay, we gotta run our practices tighter, or we gotta not let these guys into the practice facility or whatever. I just have I don't know. I feel like that's not fully true, or it's over-exaggerated. Because I feel like Dame wouldn't stand for that. And if Dame wouldn't stand for that, I feel like it wouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of confusing. Because Dame's all about work, all about his business. Like, he went on an interview saying that, if he was told that he has a practice a day after a back-to-back, which they never have practice on, but if they had a back-to-back, then a practice the next day, he would show up. He would just be like, all right, let's do it. He had that answer in an interview. So I don't see the practice facility being completely out of control with Damian Lillard on this team, because I don't think he'd stand for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, hope that's not the case, though.
It might have been Gary Payton. Maybe that problem went away, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's why this offseason is interesting, because if they do make moves to make the roster better than it was like at the start of this year, then that's when you're really going to see, okay, is there really a culture problem in the locker room? Is Chauncey really that bad of a coach if they still have all these issues with a better roster?
Right. Yeah, I think one of the things, too, that could be is just like, when you're a super nice guy, sometimes you can be a pushover too. So like, it's like, can I bring my crew in here and practice and like play a game? Mm-hmm. And Cronin could be like, oh, okay, sure. And then, but like, you don't know how to like keep it under control, and then eventually it gets to be where like there's people there that probably shouldn't be there a lot of the times. And then it's like, then you kind of have to put the liquid back into the bottle, and it's a lot harder to do that once it's opened up. So like, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I could definitely see where Olshey would just go in there and just with his, the type of control freak he is, just having everything his way and no exception type of thing. And I could definitely see the next GM who was here for all that stuff and see that Olshey got fired in part from how he handled employees and people at the practice facility, then be a lot more lenient and not want to be anything like his predecessor. So like, I definitely could see that dynamic being into play, but hopefully, as some people have mentioned in chat, like it seems to have been taken care of and back to having some sort of rules there.
Yeah, there's a good balance. You don't want to be too strict in the way you run things. These are grown men. Even Shaedon Sharpe is technically a grown man at 19. Like, they're adults, It's not like it's not even like a college. It's not a high school. It's professional sports. So you don't run things as tight in professional sports, but you do need some baseline in terms of just a set of rules or a set of things you can and can't do. Nothing as crazy as the New York Yankees not allowing guys to have facial hair. Like that. I always thought something like that's like wildly over the top. Mm-hmm. But you do want some sort of standard. So anyway, shout out Mike Aldridge, $5 dono, says back to good vibes and good takes. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you, Mike, for the $5 dono.
Thanks, Mike, and everyone else who both donated and all of you in chat. Still appreciate all of you.
Yep. Anyway, you want to talk about the bad from this game? I don't know where you want to go.
You obviously have something you want to say, Ben.
And actually, no. I mean, It's funny how Cam Reddish was getting like super heavy minutes ahead of Sharpe, and then in a game like this, Reddish plays 22 minutes and Sharpe plays 38. I mean, that's what we were asking for earlier, so I'm glad it finally happened. And like Thibault only played 14 minutes. So I guess maybe the find out what those two guys can do phase is over. But as we've said, if they're going to stay out of the tax, they probably can only keep one of the two. Do you wonder if those guys playing lighter minutes today is a sign of just that they're tanking and already kind of know what they got out of those two? Like, do you think it's a sign of maybe they've made up in their mind who they want to keep? What's your read into that? Because that's a drastic change from the minutes balance from only like a couple of games ago.
Yeah, I think they realized too that, like, if they played Reddish like they did with Sharpe tonight, then that's doing nothing but increasing his value in free agency if he plays well. So I think maybe a little bit of that is just they realize that they might increase their value too much if they do that. Maybe that's just kind of okay, because now they can go to Reddish and say, hey, we're going to sit you most of the rest of the season. You'll still play a little bit, but we're not going to give you as many minutes. We had a good idea of what you can do now, and we hope that, us giving you that opportunity leads you to take a much fairer deal with us because you know how important you are to us or whatever. Like, you can just BS your way through that kind of stuff. So I think that's probably more likely than they know what they want and they're just trying to do that. But I still don't know if either of them are worth giving a qualifying offer to, let alone signing long term. And I mean, you still have their bird rights, even if you don't offer them a qualifying offer. But I don't know if either of them are worth like $8 million a season. I think Thibault has. I don't know if he passed it tonight or not, but he was really close to. He was really close to being eligible for the higher qualifying offer because of how many minutes he played or something. So I don't know if he passed that tonight because he was really close. So that's another reason why they might sit him at some point if he's not quite there yet. But I don't know. Yeah.
It's always funny, like, the talk around Cam Reddish is find out what he can do. As if, like, we've seen this guy for the last 2 years if you watch Hawks and Knicks games. Like, the front office has NBA scouts. Like, they have people in charge of knowing what a guy like Cam Reddish can do before they ever even think about trading for him. And in Portland, Cam Reddish has been basically exactly what he's been the past couple of years. He's playing more, so he's averaging more points per game and a few more assists, but like, after this game, he's shooting in a Portland uniform 32.5% from three. His 3-point percentage for his career is 32.5% from three. His rebounding for his career at this point is 3.1 rebounds per game in 28.5 minutes this season for the Blazers. For his career, it's 3 rebounds in 25 minutes. So rebounding is exactly the same. He is averaging about an extra half an assist per 36-ish. That's not meaningful. He's still turning over the ball almost as much as he's assisting guys. Like, a lot of the struggles he has off the dribble is what he's always struggled with. Like, defensively, he hasn't been good in Portland. Like, it's just so funny. Like, we talk about him as if this organization has to find out what he can do, but he's exactly what he's been the past couple of years. Like, you should have already known what he can and can't do when you traded for him. Now, maybe it's within the context of the team, but how many, we haven't had Anthony Simons for the most part next to Cam Reddish because he was hurt. Yusuf Nurkic has been hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's probably, if he comes back, he's probably going to be primarily with the bench playing with a couple of guys who probably aren't on the team right now. So,
or maybe not even the rotation off the bench.
Yeah. Maybe they need to figure out what Cam Reddish could do in a Chauncey Billups system, but we've talked about it. There isn't really much of a structure to this team right now, X's and O's wise, on offense or defense. So I don't really understand like what specific scheme or look the Blazers needed to see Cam Reddish in. That's why I was so critical of him playing so many minutes, was because you already know or should know what this guy is. I just find it interesting how the dialogue around him has been, we got to see what he can do for us, because it's basically, this is what he's been.
Yeah, outside of like actual guys who like, I mean, I don't want to give Jeremy Grant 5 years necessarily, but like he's actually proved he's a useful player, you know, so like I don't mind if they give him a longer contract, a 4-year contract or whatever. But all these other guys who are still kind of like wishy-washy on whether they're part of the core or not. And I would include Thibault on this. I think he has a role on pretty much any team as a defender off the bench at worst case, but I'm not giving like 2 years, more than 2 years to any of them, you know, like 2 years, 15 million or something like that, you know, is fine. And then you can see what you have and see if they can be a piece while Dame is still in his prime. And if not, it's still a tradable contract. But if we start giving these guys, I saw someone, don't want to mention his name again, but mentioned the Mo Harkless contract, which was 4 years, 40 million around there. If we start giving these guys those kind of contracts like a Reddish, that's when we're just going to be stuck with this roster or having to give up assets to even get rid of contracts and not improve the team. And we're going to be kind of stuck in a situation where we can't ever get better with Dame on this roster. And that's what I want to avoid. So if you're going to re-sign him, at least let it be shorter contracts that aren't going to be like buoys on this team moving forward or huge anchors.
Yep. Rip City Highlights has a good comment. Says, to be fair, sometimes a player turns a corner after getting inspired in a new team, but yeah, no corners turned so far, it seems. Yeah, it seems like some teams can take a player like that and unlock something, but normally those teams have a stronger culture than this Blazers team has right now, or normally they have a better coach than what Chauncey Billups has been right now. I don't think Portland is the type of destination to help that type of player turn the corner. But then also, like, I want a guy who's just naturally inspired, whose normal disposition is to be competitive and be inspired. I don't want a guy who's like needs the perfect situation in order to be inspired. Now, this isn't the perfect situation, but I just want guys that, because that's the thing, is like a guy like a Cam Reddish who hypothetically like needs the perfect situation in order to turn the corner. Those guys don't set the tone, they follow the tone, right? I want guys that set the tone from like a competitive standpoint, an attitude standpoint, like a defensive standpoint, getting after it every possession. We need tone setters. And we had a little bit of a tone setter in Josh Hart, and we traded him. The problem is we don't really have a tone setter on the defensive end right now. You know, that's where it's like, I know there's a lot of issues if you bring in a Draymond Green with his temper, lack of shooting, whatever, but he would come in and be a tone setter on that end of the floor. You know, so it's I understand taking the chance on a guy who hasn't panned out and hoping that you can find something within him that hasn't shown up before in his career, but this team isn't in that position. They need to get a guy or two that can set the tone for what's acceptable on a night in, night out basis on the defensive end and from an effort standpoint, because like, this team played hard as hell defensively to start the season. Like, I went back and saw some tape from earlier in the season, Eric, and just the way they were moving was completely different. Now, of course, they were fresher and this and that, but so was every other team.
Body language completely different.
Yeah, like, we were getting after it. We were competitive. We were playing hard, and it was, like, collectively. The problem is, if you don't have enough guys who, like, naturally play that way, no matter how the game's going, no matter what part of the season it is, then it's hard to keep that up throughout a season. It's easy to come into the season with a chip on our shoulder, like, yeah, everybody says we're going to be 10th, but we think we can contend, so we're going to go out there and prove it. And we're motivated by the doubters in the preseason. that can carry you for the first 10 to 20 games of a season maybe, but then at that point, like, that's faded, right? That's faded. And if you have had a good start to the season like the Blazers had, then you start hearing, oh, well, this team is figuring out defensively. This team looks really, really good. And I was one of the guys saying that. This team looks really, really good. This team looks legit. I was one of those people, so I was wrong in that regard. But the team starts hearing that, and all of a sudden, it's no longer doubt that's fueling them. It's oh, you guys made it. You guys are good enough defense now. And all of a sudden, they lose that edge because it's not natural that they bring it at that sort of level. Does that make sense? So need guys with an edge, need guys that compete hard, like game in, game out, no matter what people are saying, no matter if there's praise, no matter if there's doubt, no matter what the situation is. Unfortunately, we don't have enough of those types of players, and unfortunately, when you bring in guys like a Cam Reddish, it's like, okay, you're bringing in another one of those players, and you're trading out the dude that plays probably the hardest, who's on the floor 10 times a game. That was part of the trade that did bug me. We talked about how Josh Hart could be a guy that could set the tone before we ever traded for him, like 2 months before we traded for him. We talked about how hard he plays and how he could be that guy that you could bring in that could be that dog, and he just play hard, right? Mm. We need that guy again. Yeah. So how are you going to find that?
Well, you know what? If you have a coach that actually coaches all year and has that accountability and doesn't also let his foot off the gas at some point when you start playing well, I think that's a big part of it too. And now this is back-to-back coaches Portland's had that aren't not, I don't think strict is the right word, but like they don't really ever chew anyone out in the locker room. Like both coaches say they don't believe in speeches or anything or getting the team pumped up or anything like that. So I think that's part of the problem too, is that we also have a coach that just kind of I don't really know how to put this other than he just kind of sits back and lets whatever happen a lot of times. And I don't think that's the right coach for this team to get over that not grinding 100% of the time either.
Yeah. At the same time, like think of this like hypothetical. You know, if you're playing on a basketball team and you have maybe your lead assistant coach and he's just all around a quiet guy, never really raises his voice, but then he comes in at a halftime and rips into you and yells at you, that's going to land differently because it's the guy that doesn't normally do that compared to if you have a coach that like does that game after game after game. At some point, it does become a little bit stale. So that's where you need other players on the team to help kind of fill in that gap so that the head coach doesn't have to constantly be that guy on a game in, game out basis, because I think it's too much to ask a coach to constantly be that guy. But then I also think that if the more you do it, there's a certain point where you're doing it so much because you got nobody on the team to really set that tone that just like consistently plays hard and leads by example, that message does become a little bit stale. Now, I agree that I don't think Chauncey has been enough of like a motivator and a guy who's hard on specific players. He's hard on some guys, but it's selective, right? Like, I think he shares some of the blame, but I also think that, you know, it is too much to ask your coach to constantly have to be that guy because you don't have enough guys on the team that will play hard or play their asses off.
Yeah.
So it's a balance. It's a balance, you know, and that's part of team building that people don't look at. They look at like, oh, this dude averages 18 points per game and is a good defender. Okay, let's bring him in. A locker room is a balance of personalities too. You got to have the right complexion of personalities, the right balance of personalities.
But to me, like, if you're talking about, I mean, obviously there's fatigue, and that's an issue. We mentioned that all during the season, that the bench or lack of bench is going to be a problem with these guys playing huge minutes. And that definitely wanes on their ability to give 100% effort game in and game out. The problem is, like you watch other teams that don't necessarily have that much talent, and they're always at least competing and working hard on that end, and always in the right spots, and always making the right reads, and fighting through pick and rolls, and instead of dying on every pick and or screen. And that kind of stuff bugs me because like I just don't like you said, it just seems like they just kind of gave up on doing that kind of stuff, like now we see like almost every screen just get blows up our defense and stuff like that. I mean, it's never been good, but at least they were trying to fight through them earlier in the season, and now it's just like, oh, I guess we're going to switch everything. So I think part of the problem is that it just seems kind of undisciplined in terms of how he goes about teaching the defense, and it's just not consistent enough. And I don't understand why it's not looking. It's supposed to get better throughout the year, not worse. And so that would just bother me in terms of Chauncey moving forward.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing with this team, man, is there's so many different issues going into the offseason that have to be addressed. I do have a video planned this offseason talking about what the Blazers need to fix, and I'll just literally have a list of like every single thing I think is an issue, and we'll see how long that list is. That's the thing when we do talk with chat is there is a lot of people that's just like they're solely focused on Chauncey, or they're solely focused on Ant, or they're solely focused on Nurk. And I mean, there's so many problems with this team. It's a collective of a bunch of things, right? It's a collection of a bunch of things. It's not just Drew Eubanks. It's not just, Justice Winslow. Mm-hmm. Like guys that I've criticized this season. I've criticized them, but it's not just them. Chauncey hasn't been good. Like, I don't know if you can play Dame, Ant, and Sharpe together long term just for defensive reasons, obviously. Grant has his weaknesses, and he's being used incorrectly. If he was a better on-ball defender, then Chauncey utilizing him would be more acceptable coaching, and it would be Grant being better at something. So it's like Grant's weakness and Chauncey's utilization of him go hand in hand in regards to playing him on the ball and forcing him to fight through screens against guards. Like, that's the thing, is there's so many issues with this team. Some of them kind of go hand in hand like that.
Tori, it doesn't matter because Cronin said that this team wasn't a championship team. So we just have to give all of them a pass because he admitted that it wasn't a good roster. So just ignore the parts where they played well and were actually showing that they could be a good team if they really wanted to be. Just ignore that part, or if they actually got a shooter or a good defender or whatever. But yeah, just remember that Cronin says this thing takes time, and he's not going to be able to do it this season. So,
yep, we got a comment from Speaking for Dame says, "What's sad is this sorry ass fan base acting like it's not time to move off Dame." Okay, goodbye. Nice troll. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Nothing.
I'm just saying. I just goodbye. I need a hammer. I need just a hammer that I can hit the desk. Don't even have to say anything with. The band hammer. We can get it designed. I'm sure you can buy custom hammers somewhere. I'm gonna Google that. I need a custom hammer. Like maybe a little squishy hammer, like mallet thing.
Yeah. That makes the clown noise.
Yeah. Yeah. Custom hammer.
Just look up a squeaky clown hammer.
Custom squeaky clown hammer. Giant squeaky hammer, large plastic squeaky hammer with whistle. Giant squeaky carnival clown hammer.
Yeah, I think we definitely need that for chat.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. I'll have to find an artist to paint a custom. We need that. Okay, next year, or we should just start coming up with this now since we're tanking. And we just need to have more gimmicks. More gimmicks. We do need the sticky note whiteboard, or poster board. I should write this down. Okay, let me go to Google Sheets. Chat, let me know what gimmicks you want to see on the post-game show to replace all the arguing with chat and all the, exhausting back and forth, right? You want that to go away? Give us more gimmicks to have fun, because we need it. for the rest of the season. I'm sure chat will come through. They're creative. Nope, we got Reddish max him 10 million times. Sick. That's what I came back to off my Google search. Anyway, shout out Doug Johnson, $10 donut, says, the guys I want to see get 30 minutes a game and might have a future. Guys with size don't get that much playing time like Walker and Butler. Shaedon Sharpe, John Butler, Walker, and Eubanks need time. Thank you, Doug, for the $10 dono. Yeah, like these last 9 games, yeah, they're tanking, but everything should be to try and help players that could be contributors next year actually be contributors. I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to know that with Nas. I think as much as I like Nas, I think he might need a change of scenery. And his contract might be, fairly tradable. So, yeah, I think he's one of the most likely to go this summer. Fortunately, he's a super nice guy, and he works hard, plays hard. I don't know what's going on, but just not working out, and Chelsea doesn't seem to like him either. So, yeah.
I mean, I just think he did. I feel like part of it is he did get a little too overhyped this past offseason. Mm-hmm. That's why I was trying to pump the brakes on him a little bit, even though, it sounded like hate. I think it's tough on players when expectations get too high and it's hard for them to meet it, because then it's like the most likely scenario is this season's a failure for them. And that's why I try and wait until guys arrive before placing like super high expectations on them. Even with Shaedon Sharpe, I talk about his upside, but upside isn't guaranteed. Like, we're not guaranteed that Sharpe is ever going to be like a good starter. We're not guaranteed of that. We're not guaranteed he's ever going to become a star, right? Now, he's very valuable because he should end up being a pretty good player, and he has upside to be a great player. But that's why I like waiting until guys arrive before I start, anointing them as this or that. At least in regards to Blazers players. I might be, a little bit more bold on other teams' players, because I don't really care, but I do feel like expectations, I don't know. I don't know how much they matter to a guy like Nas. I don't know how much of it he hears, but he was definitely expecting more too out of himself this season. So yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I mean, he shot the ball well. It's just he doesn't seem like he's the same athlete. Mm-hmm. And for someone like, he needs to be athletic. He needs to be the athlete he was his rookie year.
Yeah.
On defense and then cuts, drives, like he needs to be that sort of athlete. He was not supposed to just be a 3-point shooter and that's it. Mm-hmm. And even then, his 3-point shot is wildly inconsistent.
Yeah.
What's he shooting from 3 right now?
I think he's missed a bunch lately, so it's probably gone down.
He's still at 38.8%.
He's back to a little bit sloppy mechanics again.
I mean, some guys just can't find that level of repetition, Crazy splits-wise, at home he's shooting 45%. On the road he's shooting 32%.
Yeah, Trevin has a good point. Was he expecting more? He did sign that extension, so maybe he wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is a good point. But you know how I always talk about how he has these months where he shoots like 22% from 3? Mm-hmm. In March, before this game, what did he shoot in this game? I'll just do the updated math for this game. He was 0 for 3 from 3. So now for March, Eric, he is 5 for 25 from 3. That's 20%. Now, it's a small sample size, so you're going to have more ebbs and flows. But that is that month. It's that month where he shoots 20% from 3.
Is he also just that bad, or is like... Because to me, we talked earlier about playing Reddish, 30 minutes a game and whether we should moving forward or not. But, like, don't you think, like, letting Nas maybe play a lot more and maybe put up better numbers might increase his trade value a little bit for this summer, like right now, it's like teams
Yeah.
are probably going to be like, he was barely playing for you. Why wasn't he playing? You know?
I mean, here's the thing: is like when Reddish got here, we knew more about what he was on the NBA level than we did about Nas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because he wasn't on our team didn't mean we didn't have tape to figure out what he is at the NBA level. But Nas has been so wildly inconsistent on both sides of the floor and all over the place that I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is. Occasionally he'll look phenomenal in like the insert at the small forward spot, and then he'll have this stretch where he looks like he shouldn't even be on the roster. I don't know what he is. So it's like you talk about giving Cam Reddish 40 minutes in some games to see what he is. Well, the last 9 games of the season, Nassir Little should be playing 30 minutes per game at least. At least. And just give him the green light to make mistakes and try and figure it out. And just say, okay, well, you're going to get a ton of playing time. You just gotta try and be that on-ball stopper that you've shown that you've been able to be. Now, maybe that messes up the tank because he's occasionally capable of having a great game. And, like, I feel like his upside in a game is higher than Thibel's or Reddish's. So, like, you know, if we did that, I feel like there could be a game out of this final 9 that Nas keeps us in and maybe we win it. Obviously, you'd need a little bit more help. But regardless, it's all about the future. You gotta figure out if you can count on Nas to be a fringe rotation player next year.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I don't think you can count on him being in the rotation at all next year, even if he looks good the last 8 or 9 games of this season. But you got to figure out if it's something where you can maybe, if you consolidate for a star, or say you have some plans backfire and they don't pan out, you have to know if he's a viable backup plan to whatever you're trying to do this offseason. And at this point, he's not. But give him that chance to maybe change your mind on that, is how I'd view it as the front office and as the coach. So I want to see him play. I want to see him play more.
Yep. Well, there's no reason to while we're tanking.
Yep. Chat, do you agree with that? What are your thoughts on Nas, and especially long term, and what do you want to see?
If we're sitting people, why are we playing Thibault right now? Like,
Yeah.
just give those minutes to Nas.
Yeah.
I see Draymond Green being talked about a lot in chat. I just want to know, like, what you guys think the Warriors would want for Draymond, because they would only be trading him because they are in a situation where they're paying a crap load of money in tax. So he's a free agent. He can be if he opts out of his contract. We don't know if he's going to opt out or not. But let's just say he opts out. How are we getting him then? Because the Blazers would have a tough time making a sign and trade and staying under the luxury tax. And then, but like, once again, what are we giving up? Because we'd have to match his salary in a trade. And if the Warriors are letting him go for salary reasons, they're not going to want like Nurkic's contract or anything like that. So yeah, I just don't understand what we're going to accomplish or how we're going to accomplish that. Yeah. Or even if he does opt in and trades it. So like, I mean, I don't know. What would Golden State want from us? That's because like that's the team that probably makes the least sense for like Anthony, and that's the contract that could most easily match. So maybe you get a third team or something. But yeah.
Here's the thing. I think there's a higher chance. Okay, well, let me phrase it this way. I think there's a lower chance that Draymond Green is in a Blazer uniform next year than Joel Embiid. Like,
Yeah, well,
I think there's a higher chance Embiid is here next year than Draymond, because they're not going to want to trade with us because they hate us now. And if he's a free agent, we don't have cap space. Like, how are we signing trading for him? And guess what? We'd still have to trade for him in that scenario. I think there's pretty much a 0% chance that Draymond Green is in a Blazer uniform. I think there's maybe a 1% chance that Embiid is.
I would say I would agree with that if Draymond couldn't opt out, and if he does opt out, I could. I mean, I'm not saying he will do this, but I think there is a less than 0% chance, it's still very minute, that Draymond would take the MLE with a team just to like stick it back to Golden State, especially being in the same conference or whatever. I don't know if we're good enough for him to do that with us. He might do that with like the Lakers and his buddy LeBron or something like that. But I could definitely see Draymond doing something like that, especially if he doesn't get good offers in free agency. But I don't know if that would be with us or not.
How about this? How about this 3-team trade? Ant to Charlotte, Draymond to Portland, and like Jeremy or Ant to Charlotte.
What?
That's what David said. That's wait. So what is Charlotte trading and why? What? I'm confused, David. You're gonna have to reword that trade, man.
Well, and DJ Vega said we could trade Nurk and Bogdanovich, or not Nurk and Nas for Draymond if he opted in. Like that's Nurk and Nas. Like even if you found a team to take Nurk that had salary cap, I mean, there's not a lot of teams with that much salary, and there's a lot of free agents this year, so I doubt they would waste their money on Nurkic. And Nurk still has 3 years left on his deal, unlike Bogdanovich, who was an expiring contract. So even if it didn't work out, it's not like it's a huge burden on your roster. Plus, Bogdanovich had more value this year than Nurk would have. But yeah, so I just don't understand how they're going to accomplish that and how that gets Golden State what they would need to trade him. Why would they just not trade him in that situation?
Yeah. Like, I know Embiid is very, very unrealistic. Every time we bring up Embiid, there's always people saying,
I mean,
how
literally
unrealistic
just said 1%.
Yeah, 1%. Yeah, like, I know it's very unrealistic. It's not a non-zero like I think Draymond might be a 0% chance. Like I don't see a reality in which we could get him. With Embiid, I at least could see like Philadelphia chokes in the first round, Harden leaves in free agency, and then Embiid wants out, and Philadelphia likes our trade package. Like that is more realistic to me than whatever path there is to getting Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Brandon Tatum says KD was unrealistic and he got moved. Well, there was a clear pathway to the Suns having a trade to acquire him, though. There's no clear pathway to Portland having a method to acquiring Draymond.
Yeah. We're not just going to be able to attach seconds to
unless
Nurk.
You're using that situation to talk about Embiid, which that would be an applicable situation to talk about Embiid, because we do have the type of trade package that could entice Philadelphia potentially, and Embiid is under contract. So sorry, I didn't know which one you were applying that to, but I think it would apply to Embiid. Whereas Draymond, that's the difference, is no clear cut way to get him. So, anyway, what were you saying?
So DJ Vega says to attach seconds, throw in seconds to get Nurk to another team. So Golden State doesn't have to take up. So, but what is Golden State getting then? They're just giving Draymond up for nothing, even if you found a team to take Nurk for seconds.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see a trade where like dumping Nurk actually accomplishes something, or just a series of moves. They'd get the first. So what would the trade be if they get the first? I'm confused.
And Golden State, I mean, they're Curry and Clay are old. Like they're not going to go like young. I don't know.
Yeah. in a sign and trade, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much Draymond gets, but I don't think Golden State would want to trade him with us, though. I think they have an issue with us.
That's the other problem.
I think that bridge is burnt. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't think there's like really any chance at all. If the GP2 stuff didn't go down, then okay, maybe, but they're not. They just traded away James Wiseman to get GP2. I don't see them then trading away Draymond for first-round picks, because it'd be in direct contradiction of the trade they just made with Wiseman, giving up on him for a guy to help them win now. Like, they're in win-now mode. They're not going to trade Draymond for first. I mean, maybe they will. I would be shocked, though, and it would be, like, incredibly dumb of them. Unless they turn those first into something. So that's the thing, is like it would probably have to be a 4-team trade then. With a team getting Nurk, a team getting our first, trading Golden State somebody that they'd be willing to give up Draymond Green for, and then they'd have to be willing to trade for us. You see where I'm going with like why this is super unrealistic? So.
Oscar, I'm confused. How is PJ Tucker in a trade with Charlotte and Portland? Who did you mean instead?
Yeah, what's with the Charlotte in this scenario? I'm confused where the Charlotte's coming in.
He said if we got 2 and Charlotte got 3.
You want to do a tankathon sim?
Yeah, let's do it. Because we're going to get 2 anyway.
Okay, so...
I'm not convinced they want to get off Draymond. I don't know.
Tankathon time. Blazers are back in 6th after being 7th last postgame show. That's because they lost in the Washington Wizards won. Also, since the last postgame show, Orlando won another game. So we're back to being 1 win behind them. 1.5 games because we have 2 less losses. But with teams that are tanking, you always look at wins because they're basically trying to avoid those. So, if Orlando can win their next game, which is against the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday, could be winnable. Brooklyn, I think, has lost, 5 in a row now? They just lost off a Isaac Okoro game-winning 3. So Brooklyn is beatable. Orlando has won 3 out of their last 4. And they're at home. If Orlando can win that game and Portland loses their next 2 games on Sunday and Monday, which are against the Thunder and the Pelicans, 2 teams playing for playoff positioning, then Portland would be tied for 5th. We could be back here on Tuesday's post-game show talking about Portland and Orlando being tied for 5th. That's 2 games from now. I could realistically see that happening. I think Portland will lose the next 2 if they're playing this lineup. I think Orlando could legitimately win their next game. So, that's the dream. Obviously, you want to maximize odds right now. Getting 5th would maximize the odds. I mean, you'd have 2% less chance of Wemby than Charlotte, who's been awful all year. I mean, that's pretty dang good considering we were trying to be competitive for more than half the season. Any thoughts on the picture as it lays, Eric?
Much better than it was 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I like being back here. If we're beneath these odds, I am upset because that's what we were last post-game show. Anyway,
DJ Vega's asking if Portland and Orlando are tied, they split the percentage odds. So I think what happens is they flip a coin, and that determines who's the higher seed. So in a case where neither of them move up, which team would be higher? So let's say no one moves up, then if Orlando won the coin toss, they'd be 5th and Portland would be 6th. And I believe the percentage doesn't work out evenly for any pick. So like it would be like one team would have like one more
combination
of numbers than the other team. So it would be like 9.8 to 9.7%.
And there's 1,000 ping pong balls, so the difference would be like 0.9, 0.8. Anyway, let's simulate this thing and scroll up like we normally do. Fingers crossed for some good luck. So far, so good. 11 is New York, which is crazy. Dallas lost to Charlotte at home, by the way, and Luka played. They are an absolute mess. Chicago with this win is up to 10th. That pick's going to Orlando. They're trying to play for their play-in spot. So we helped them out with the lineup we put out there today. At 9, you got Utah. So far, so good. Obviously, you want, if Portland's 6, it's just like last year. You want as few teams as possible moving up from this bottom part, because obviously if you had 4 teams move up already, that's your top 4 picks are already taken up by 4 teams. So on draft lottery day, you don't want to see teams below Portland moving up. Because if you get to the final 6 and there's 4 spots left, then Portland is, there's 6 teams left for 4 spots. The odds are greater. So I think if you got to Portland, if you got to 6 without any teams moving up, their odds would probably be greater than 50-50 to move up into the top 4. So just to prepare you for draft lottery day, I will have like a draft lottery preview talking about that again. Right before the draft lottery, let's keep scrolling. At 8, Washington. So far, so good. Moment of truth. At 7, it's Portland. So this is just like last year. Last year, it played out well until we got screwed.
Yeah. Well, the team behind us moved up. So, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Who's what? That's what team is
Indiana.
that now? Indiana moved up.
Yep, but they moved higher than 4.
Oh,
4 is San Antonio. 3 is Detroit. 2 is Charlotte, and 1 is Indiana.
so if we just would have won this game instead of lose. Can't wait for those comments.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, wait! Don't hit it. Did you hit it?
No, I didn't hit anything.
Okay. I've seen several questions about what the Blazers should do if they get the 5th to 7th pick.
Yeah.
So this is a good. Just like we don't really talk about this scenario that much as much as the other scenarios, and this scenario is still the most likely outcome. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we could just do you want to just do a quick mock draft to 7 and see what our options would be.
Oh, on Fanspo?
Or just just go through it right now and just kind of guess who each team would pick.
Yeah, just with this order.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana's Wemby.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Detroit, I think, go Miller and Scoot in some combination.
Yep.
And then San Antonio, I think, goes Amin Thompson.
Yep.
However you say his first name. And then the draft gets interesting at 5.
Yeah.
Who do you think Houston would take?
I think Nassir is probably the most likely. Yeah. Yeah, I think he would be the pick. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, Asar, isn't it
Yeah.
Asar?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Orlando at 6.
That's a tough one.
I mean,
They have 6 and 10.
I feel like if we don't have them taking Jarris Walker, we're saying Portland takes Jarris Walker at 7, right?
Yeah.
So let's have them taking Jarris Walker, and then who does Portland take at 7?
I think they're trading it in that thing.
Yeah, but who would you take? What would be the play there if they stayed there?
The Don says Zach Edey. I think there's a clear-cut top 7, and so I think I hate blocking positions. Yeah. I have Cam Whitmore in my top 7, so that would be, if I'm just going off my big board, that's the pick.
Yeah, I'm unsure on him.
Can I ask you a question about him?
Yeah, go ahead.
Usually you like guys with really lightning quick first steps and good burst, and he's right up there with the Thompson twins as and Scoot as right behind them as the most burst off a first step in the draft. So why are you down on him compared to some of those other guys that you like that kind of profile in the past?
Because I feel like those other guys read the floor better. or at least read the help better. I feel like Cam Whitmore is one of those guys where like he'll be a guy off the dribble, but it's like a little bit of tunnel vision just downhill at the rim, and there's not enough creativity, or I don't know. Like it's not like he can't be creative downhill, but it's like with a guy like Amen, he gets past guys, but then he reads the help defender and he'll make the right kick out pass, or he'll, Euro step or get creative to finish on the secondary help guy. With like Cam Whitmore, it's like he'll be his first guy, and then he's just, a lot of times I feel like he's just trying to go straight at that secondary help defender. We talk about that with like Nas and Watford, where it's like when they drive, it's just going right at that help defender, right at the rim, and they get blinders sometimes, and that's kind of what I see with Cam Whitmore, and that's why I'm not as high on him compared to some of those other guys.
But he's more of a forward, and those other guys are more like primary ball handlers too.
Yeah, like
so
it might be fine. It might be fine. It just does worry me. Like 27 minutes per game, he had 0.7 assists and 1.6 turnovers. So that's why I'm not as high on him.
Sucks shooting the ball.
Yeah. Also, I'll just be honest. I haven't watched him enough to know really what he is defensively.
Mm-hmm.
What's your? I know you've watched him a little bit more. So what's your thoughts on him defensively?
I think he's one of those guys who, to me, has all the tools to be, I don't want to say perfect, but like good defender, good shooter, and good attacker of the rim, can draw fouls, that kind of stuff. I feel like all the tools are there. I feel like also he came into Villanova as like one of those players that just kind of dominated and didn't know how to necessarily play the right way. Mm-hmm. And I saw a lot of improvement with that throughout the year, but there were definitely times during the year it's like, oh man, this guy just like his feel for the game is a little off right now, but at the same time it doesn't feel like he can't ever overcome that. But yeah, I thought, like, watching him, like, I couldn't get over the fact how much he looked like Mathurin as a freshman at Arizona. And so Mathurin comes back. He has a lot of the same issues that Whitmore has. And Mathurin takes off his second year as one of the best players in the nation. So, like, I feel like if Whitmore went back, like, we wouldn't have any of these questions, and he'd be thought of like Mathurin. So, like, I feel like if you get him in the right system and he kind of learns the game a little better, I think he's going to be one of those guys that pops at the next level, especially if he's utilized better than he was at Villanova. But I see his first step in that burst, and that's something that, like, you always say can't be taught, and that you always like. So that's why I was just curious, like, why he gets downgraded in your mind compared to some of those others. But as a forward, like a power, and he's strong, like he attacks the rim like ferociously. So like, if you can do that in the NBA, it's something we talked about earlier with Sharpe using he needs to get stronger so he can use some of that strength. Like, I feel like Mathurin came into the league and was good at drawing fouls and getting to the line right away. That was something that early on this season he was excelling at as a rookie. So I feel like Whitmore could come in and do that similarly. It's just, I think he's a 3 at the next level, and I don't know if that's necessarily what we need. And I'm going to be interested to see some of their measurements too. That's going to play a huge part of it.
That's part of it. I feel like he's a little undersized. Also, in regards to the Mathurin comparison, I mean, like, Mathurin took such a huge jump that I feel like I'm not comfortable with expecting that to go the same way if Whitmore returned. But also, Mathurin, his freshman season, was a 42% three-point shooter and 85% from the line. I don't think Whitmore is that kind of shooter. He was 34% from 3, 70%. I don't think he's as pure of a shooter as Mathurin. And I don't know. I don't know. Like Matherin improved more as a playmaker. I mean, maybe Whitmore could. I just think he's kind of far off. I think he's even behind where Matherin was. So, and then the measurements, like he looks like 6'5", 6'6" to me. Do you want that at a power forward position? Like, I know he's strong in
power forward. I think it's a small forward.
Yeah, I just at a small forward position. Like, I feel like he could, in a bad case scenario, his career ends up like Nassir Little's so far. Because I feel like a lot of his positives you could have said about Nas coming out of college.
But Nas like barely drove at all in at UNC. He was like a spot-up shooter in the corner.
Yeah,
yeah.
But he was on a better UNC team than Villanova was this year. So didn't get as much leeway, and then he played good at the end of the year. I just feel like a lot of the traits Whitmore has, you could say the same about Nas.
I think Whitmore has a little bit better burst, but yeah.
I mean, they're not the same players. With his lack of what I feel to be his lack of ability to read the floor, questionable 3-point shot, like lack of creativity off the drive. I'm not really high on his upside, and then also I think his floor is maybe a little bit lower than guys around there. So that's why I'm not as high on him. But he's the type of guy where it's like, if you look at the positives, you could see a really good player. He's just a hard guy to project, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, like, if it's a hard guy to project, I want a guy that I'm, like, confident on having some upside, like a Shaedon Sharpe, you know? Like, we didn't know what Shaedon Sharpe was going to be, but we knew, like, his upside was legitimate, whereas I'm a little bit more worried about Whitmore's upside. That's why I'm not as high on a guy like that.
It's a shame that Jay Wright wasn't still their coach, because usually the Villanova guys, you wouldn't ever say that this kind of stuff about, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of them learn how to play the right way.
He's had some highly regarded freshmen, though, that didn't pan out there. Javon Quinterly started there. Brian Antoine, you remember him? Mm-hmm. He was highly regarded, and then he was supposed to be a one-and-done guy in, like, a mid-first when he was going into college, and he's not even an NBA player anymore. Like, I feel like most of this chat doesn't know who that is. So, you know, there was guys that didn't really get a chance. It was more so like Jay Wright was so good with the 3- and 4-star guys, developing them into NBA players, you know, like Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, like the unheralded guys, but guys that play hard, are smart, like play the right way. He, you know, maybe Cam Whitmore's one of those guys. I don't know.
I just feel like when I watched Cam play, it's like a lot of the things he does bad, I feel like those were the things Jay Wright was good at teaching. So, like, yeah, I wish I could have seen that, but that team is just, I don't know. That team was a mess this year, and they had another highly regarded freshman, Armstrong. Forget his first name. Is it Brandon Armstrong or something like that? And I actually really like him watching him play, but his numbers just don't back it up. But like, I felt like he had good pace as a point guard, good defender, that kind of stuff. But like, he was just like an afterthought on their team this year, and so. I don't know, and then Cam just they never involved him in the offense a lot of the times, and just drove me crazy watching those games.
Yep. Shout out Doug Johnson, a $10 dono. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you. Says, Eric, you talk about trading down the draft. We get the 6th pick in the draft. Sixth pick for Nick's 11th. Would you give up Little for Isaiah Hartenstein? Thibodeau wants Jarris. We use our MLE, and then the comment ended, so I don't know if he added anything to that. I'm looking for it. I don't see anything added to it. Who we use our MLE on, Doug?
I would not trade. Hartenstein's not enough to go back from 6 to 11, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I like Hartenstein, but I don't think he's like a player. I mean, we could have gotten him for basically part of the Hart trade
Yeah.
without anything different. So if we're actually giving up a good asset like the sixth pick to move back 5 spots just to get Hartenstein, that's not enough in my opinion.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah, I wouldn't mind trading back, but probably not for like a Hartenstein type player. Would
Yeah,
definitely
like
take a better, but I would like the 9 to 11 range so we could just draft Hendricks, and then this isn't a question.
yeah, so the Jazz right now, obviously not talking about a sim, have 9 and 16.
hmm
So if you're at 6, the thing is it's much more likely the Blazers end up 7th than 6th.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about not trading up, it makes more sense to just look at it as 7th. But if they play their way to top 5 odds, then you move down one, you're 6th, right?
hmm
Like,
Yeah.
so in that range, you could trade down with Utah potentially if they really want to trade up for a guy. Orlando has the 10th and 35th picks. That's probably not enough. You'd probably need an extra asset there. And
And
then the Knicks have 11, but that could be like OKC could be up to 11th, and they have future first, so maybe it's like 11 from OKC into future first. That could be viable. So there are like trade down combinations. I will have a video once the draft order's set talking about all sorts of trade down combinations.
yeah, and basically, so Rahi says 7 for 9 in Olynyk. Well, we have to match salary though. That's the problem, and the Blazers weren't willing to take any of these guys at the deadline, like Olynyk and
Yeah.
Hardenstein and those kind of players. So if they weren't willing to do that now, I find it hard to believe they would at the deadline before free agency. Maybe if they strike out on free agency, they'll look to one of those guys just to add depth. But I don't. I don't see them doing that for like mid-level players like Olynyk and Hartenstein. Like they're gonna go either for the top dogs, or they're gonna just continue to pile assets on. Like Tori said, 11th and a future first is much more likely than like 11th and Hartenstein or Olynyk or someone like that.
7 for 12 in Dort. Yeah, no. With how much he's making, nah. Those were what we were talking about last year, though. That was one of the trade ideas. That's the thing. You could have some similar trade ideas from last year if we end up at 7. Just recycle those. Yeah, 7 in that scenario. Goodness. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to trade down at all costs. If not, oh, goodness, man. If you made me pick someone right now, you're not going to like this, but I would probably go Anthony Black.
Okay.
That's probably who I'd go with. Because he can defend, he can pass the ball, he's decent leaper. Problem is he can't shoot. If he can shoot, like, I think he's going to be a steal. Because I like a lot of other traits of his game. I don't think he's ready to start or anything like that. Maybe he can play some spot minutes right away. I think the Blazers would use him next year, much like the Pelicans have used Dyson Daniels this year. I'm not thrilled about taking Anthony Black at 7, though. I'm not thrilled with this draft from 6 to, like...
I'd rather do 11 and Hartenstein than take Black.
Yeah, you're not an Anthony Black fan, I know, but I'm higher on him. Our opinions are flipped on like Cam Whitmore and Anthony Black. We'll see how that looks 5 years from now. But I mean, like, there's a clear cut top 5 to me, and that's the Thompson twins: Miller, Scoot, and Wemby. Like, if we can, even if we end up at 4, like, I would love to get one of the Thompson twins. I think you can make the argument that they have a higher upside than Sharpe. The only thing is they don't shoot well at all. But you can teach that. Like, their first step is crazy. really good passers, potential to be absolutely elite defensively, elite athletically. Like pairing one of those guys with Sharpe would be really fun.
Yeah.
So, and you just hope that, you know, they could come in right away and be like a lockdown defender that you can't keep off the floor. It's like you talk about, oh, Thibault is lack of shooting, whatever, but he plays defense, so you got to play him. I mean, I think one of the Thompson twins could come in, be similar defensively, and provide a lot more offensively with their lack of shooting than Thibault does. So.
Kyle Wilson says if we end up at 7 or worse, we're officially cursed. No, we're not. Like, we're once again, we're more. We went through this last year, Kyle.
I agree.
We are more likely to be 7th if we finish 6th than any other position. So
yeah, but we were more likely to move up 1 out of the 2 years than fall to 7 both years.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, because it's a 37% chance twice for my math nerds in here. If you have a 37% chance at something and 2 tries at it, what are the chances that you get it once? Somebody do the math for me. Where's Smog at when we need him?
It's less than a 40% chance twice. Or 42. What was it? 42% chance?
Oh, yeah.
That we have them?
Yeah.
You're saying it was more than.
No, I was saying like if you had 2 scenarios, if we have the 6 best odds 2 years in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's more likely? We move up once or we fall to 7 both times? It's more likely we move up 1 of the 2 years.
No, because it's still both times you have a greater percentage chance of being 7th.
Yeah, but you're talking about 1 out of 2 times for moving up. It's like flipping. It's like if you're flipping a coin, and you're talking about what's more likely. You flip heads once or you flip tails twice in a row. You're more likely to flip heads once because you only have to flip heads 1 of the 2 times.
But you could say the same thing about moving down to 7th. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Like,
you're saying the odds of it happening twice are because it's the same percentage. I don't know.
No, if you get a 37% chance to move up, that's for 1 year, right? But if you have a 37% chance to move up in both years, and you're only talking about moving up in one of them, it's a greater than 37% chance.
Well,
I love how this has become a math debate.
It's still 62.5% either time.
Yeah, but you're talking about only 1 out of the 2 events, not 1 out of 1. So because you have more chances of moving up, it's more likely you're going to move up. Like if we ended up with the 6 best odds 10 years in a row, right? The chances of us moving into the top 4 1 of those 10 years would be much higher than 37%.
But each year it's still the same percentage, whether what happened last year or not. So it's always going to be the 60% chance that they don't move up.
For 1 year. But if you're talking about once in 2 years, it's different.
No, because the second year is still the same exact percentage, right?
Yeah, but
because this in a coin flip, it doesn't matter what the previous coin thing was.
I know, but I'm saying like yes, like individually, yes, it's a 37% chance. But if you're saying, okay, well you get 2 chances of moving up, only need to move up once, like yeah. I get how you're looking at it.
It's still 37. It's still more likely you don't move up than move up, even if it's
so
10
if I asked
years
you, so let's say, okay, this year we have the 6 best odds, and next year we have the 6 best odds. So the next 2 years we have the 6 best odds. What are the odds of us moving up 1 out of those, at least once out of those 2 years?
37.5%.
It's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how this is a math debate. I never thought I'd get in such a math debate with you. But yeah, they're renovating. Who knows what it's going to be? I feel like they're replacing the stands in the like double lettered sections.
They're replacing the steel structure on the lower levels and the seats as well. I don't know what else they're going to do, but they wouldn't even do an alternate court this year, so it's just kind of weird.
David, I know what gambler's fallacy is. You have no clue what I'm talking about. God damn, man. You've said this like 20 times. You have no clue what I'm talking about. Yeah, ChatGPT's tripping. No Rip City 3-on-3 this year, I think, is due to the renovations. I did ask, and they said at this time it looks like it's not going to happen. So, I mean, that wasn't a firm no, but it was as firm of a no as you can get without it being a firm no. So, yeah. I mean, I say just make us play around construction parts that are being moved in and out. That could be some fun, right?
Yeah, that'd be. Have like a bulldozer as the fourth defender.
I'm sure you could body the bulldozer.
Yeah, no problem. Although I don't know how long this will last, so I've very much cut back on my soda intake.
Yeah.
And I've started working out, lifting a little bit. So
nice.
Hoping to get in
you're
shape.
Gonna be dunking soon.
I'm gonna go to Hawaii this summer. Can't be looking like a fat butt. But yeah, I've had. Let's see. Since Sunday morning, I've had one can of soda and soda at McDonald's. So that's what, 5.5 days. It's been very hard.
Really? Yeah. You
I've
drink more soda than I do.
I've drunk nothing but water pretty much other than that. And yeah, I hate drinking water, but yeah, this is someone who, at minimum, I usually drink about 60 ounces of soda a day. So it's been quite the difference.
I drink a lot of Gatorade. I drink probably too many energy drinks. I mix up my high sugar intake, but I do like soda too. It's not the best, but it's good. So LaCroix is solid AF. I can't stand sparkling water, man. Are you a sparkling water drinker, or do you?
No.
I don't understand.
And now there's something in sparkling water that causes cancer too. So yeah, I don't like all the stuff that's in diet soda. I don't drink, and all the zero sugar stuff has crappy stuff in it too. So yeah, just trying to eliminate it all together, like any kind of sugary drinks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough because I don't know. I don't enjoy eating without some sort of like flavor to my drink. So yeah, it's been really difficult.
It's just like tastes bad. It doesn't even taste like water. It just tastes like crap, man. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yep.
Anyway.
And yeah, I'm kind of, the caffeine thing is going to be bad too because I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea either. Sorry, Gordon.
Yeah, tea's gross. I feel like we got the same taste in drinks.
And I'm trying not to drink juice either, like, because most juice has a lot of sugar in it as well. So, but yeah, I don't know how long I could take this. So, but like, my wife went to the grocery store today and she's like, "You want me to get you something?" I'm like, "Nope."
That was a hard no, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's times where I've kept like a case of cans here, and it's just so dangerous. I refuse to buy like a case. I can't. Like, if I go to the gas station, I'll get one, you know. But I don't know. I try and stick to Gatorade at least. I feel like it's not good, but it's not as bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like make it so water's the only option I have in the house. So like, even if I want something else, I can't. So
yeah. Do you have an easier time drinking more water when it's like bottled or like out the tap?
for sure bottled, but I'm also trying not to be that person either. So
Yeah, and it's like, oh, why would you buy somebody selling water to you when you have it out your tap and you could just buy a filter? And it's just like, I remember to drink it if it's literally like a bottle that's right here. If it's a glass, I'm not gonna take it with me everywhere. If it's a bottle, I could take it when I drive. I can take it to the gym. Like, I mean, I guess the smart thing to do would be to just get a freaking refillable water bottle, but yeah. David, shut up.
Yeah.
David,
I don't.
You're freaking clueless. I can't with you, man. Just stop.
I'm definitely glad I live in Oregon, trying to drink water, because tap water is definitely drinkable compared to a lot of other states. But yeah. I mean, Washington's fine too, but yep. I can't drink coffee because, sorry, I just can't. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like coffee either. It makes me feel sick. Like, I wish I could, but
I don't like the taste. I don't want to drink anything that I don't like the taste.
David, for the millionth freaking time, if you keep talking about this, we're done, bro.
Let's move on, bro.
I know what it is. Like, just stop. I know what it is. You don't get what I'm saying. It's fine that you don't. Just move on.
I will say, if in like 3 or 4 weeks I'm not seeing results, that might motivate me to not continue.
You should try swimming for exercise. Because, like, I couldn't run every day because my knees couldn't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't mind.
I would
swimming,
try and
but
swim just so that to take it easy on my joints while still getting that sort of exercise,
I don't have a gym membership right now, so
yeah,
that's the problem.
Well, I mean, if you end up skinning up those shoulders, then people won't think I'm 5'7" anymore. So that'd be cool.
I'm sorry, Tari, but I'm lifting weights. So.
Can you just not do shoulders? Can you do biceps only, so like your biceps can be bigger than your shoulders, and just keep them off the screen for me?
I do biceps, so I'm gonna have the guns back here soon. But with dumbbells, I mean, shoulder exercises are the easiest thing to do. So, sorry, but I'm gonna start. Yeah.
You're gonna make me have to do freaking shoulder workouts. I don't feel like it. Anyway.
You got the AJ Griffin shoulders right now.
Okay, not that. Well, his were just low. Mine at least aren't like. See, mine would be
like
off the screen. Yeah, mine would be off the screen. Like, neck proportion is fine. The width, everybody thinks I'm 5'7". My chat just loves being wrong when it comes to me. Anyway. Yeah, I had somebody, God, it was somebody recently. I don't know if it was on stream, but somebody said, yeah, you're 6'7". Oh, it was, I was helping this dude out with graphics. We got in a conversation. I was like, just looking off my stream, how tall do you think I was? Or I am. And I was expecting a 5'6" to 5'8". He said 5'7". I knew it. I knew it. It's literally everyone's answer.
Yeah.
And it's your fault. Or it's my fault for not lifting enough. It's your fault for being too.
Every time this comes up, I tell people you're legit 6'2". Like, it's not
6'2". Bro, get out of here! Don't short me 2 inches.
Okay, sorry, 6'4".
Wow, man.
Tori's legit.
I was gonna say numbers are hard. All right. Well, that's it. Goodbye. Change your camera. Okay, so if I do it, okay, hold on. Do I look taller now? This is where I'm gonna do my camera from. That's my light.
I have to move here.
Okay, do I look? Wait. No, but my mouse is over there. Okay, cool.
You do look kind of taller now. Your shoulders don't look as droopy.
Yeah, I'm literally next stream, next post game show, I'm starting like this, and people are gonna be like, "What?" And if you're in here, you'll get it. But
this is weird.
Yeah, this is better.
I don't like this.
I like this. I feel more authoritative. I feel like if I ran that math poll back again, it would be closer to 50-50.
What are those cords up there in your closet?
Oh, that's
you need a better background.
Well, yeah, but that's a massager.
Or close your closet door.
It doesn't have a closet door. My closet does not have a door.
Gotta put up a towel then or something.
No, I mean I just leave it open. I got stuff hanging here. Like, why do I gotta close it? Yes, it's a wooden frame. That this angle is cursed, but do I look taller? That's all that matters. Bonnie, what would you call it? It's one of those things with the. It's weird. It's weird having the camera down here. I look tall now. Okay, cool. Here, I'll move it back a little bit.
Rob.
Well, yeah, Rob loves me.
I feel like you wouldn't get as much crap out your hair at this angle too.
Oh, I know, right? Like, let me see. The hat has messed it up. All right, new camera angle guy. I need a shorter monitor, or I need to raise my chair. But this is the new camera angle, guys. What do you think? Chat poll for if we're keeping it or not. New camera angle dub L. There's your chat poll. Taylor, there was somebody on the last stream, man. I don't know. I said the people that matter to me have different opinions on my hair, so that's fine. And I thought of you. 50-50. Eric looks S9. Do you mean 5'9"? Yeah, Eric looks 5'9" now. How does it feel to be short? Okay, you guys are being way too sus here. Maybe we can compromise. There. Put it next to the screen. Cool. Nope, that won't work.
Got a couple of other YouTuber simps in chat. Sorry.
Good, I deserve them. I've earned them. I've earned my simps.
I think you muted me.
You're not muted. I never muted you. I'm not even in my stream software.
Jeez, man. Because
your mic's quieter. I don't know what you did, but your mic is quieter.
There you go.
Yeah. See, me. Man.
Yeah, I just muted you guys specifically. The few that couldn't hear me.
Yeah, I'm editing the stream back and I'm cutting out the part.
Oh man, this is fun.
Talk to chat and cutting out the math debate. Okay, it'll be an inside joke. But it takes like 6 hours, so people are gonna be like, "Where's the post game show?" Shouts Taylor with a $2 dono. He donated. Oh, it was only 13 minutes ago. Okay, it's not too bad. He said, "Blessings to you, Taylor." Thank you.
Yeah, LV, I literally don't care whose shoulders up. It doesn't bother me at all.
It's a running joke. It's fun to play.
No, I know.
People will probably legitimately think I'm serious because they think all sorts of things.
Yeah.
What did it feel like to be tall? Bro, I need to hang up the picture of me dunking. That's my Discord profile picture in the background so people know what's up. You know? Just have a poster of myself.
Connor with the member message. Romp and Gabe are here to lead the Tori Simpson chat.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Yeah, you look like Wembanyama now, and I look like Scoot.
I moved it back. We're fine now. The hair has to go away, though.
Shoes and boxes debate? What?
6'3", 6'10". I don't know.
Are you talking about shoe size? What?
I'm ending the stream in 5 minutes, by the way, okay? You guys got 5 more minutes.
I don't get what the shoe and boxes thing.
Tori needs the camera angle from the watch party so everyone thinks Eric is short again.
Yeah, I look like everyone that came on. Kieran's like 5'3", and he looked like he was taller than me.
See, if I was 5'7", that would make me dunking even cooler, so... When I was born, they said I was supposed to be 6'6" to 6'9". If I was 6'9", this YouTube channel wouldn't exist because I would be making money through basketball in another way. But, unfortunately... Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Max Forsett said, just woke up in the UK, happy to see us one loss closer to Wemby, but also really happy to see Shaedon smash it again tonight. Gonna listen to the stream back now.
Uh-oh.
I would listen to the first 30 minutes, and then when we start talking with chat, I mean, if you're not into that, then, or if you're not into math debates, then the rest of the stream probably, I don't know, we went completely off the rails, but if you're into math and us being annoyed at chat, this is the stream for you. Appreciate you.
While we're on the subject, I wanted to say hi to Simon and Roxy, who left a message on our video yesterday, our stream yesterday. They said hi from Australia and said they're big fans of the Blazers and us. So just wanted to give them a shout out on there too. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see if they watch through 3 hours to get here. If they did, then they really are fans of us, man. Wow.
They're fans no longer. Yeah, what if they hate math and they were like all excited about us and now they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm ready to not have another chat argument the rest of the year. I'm just gonna go back to having a little bit more of a banhammer. Protect the ecosystem, you know?
See, this is the thing, like, it's fun interacting with you guys and talking with chat, and it's like I lean on it when I do like that solo stream and stuff. Like, I want to have fun with you guys. I don't want to have to like have the conversations we had earlier in the stream, but yeah.
Yep.
And obviously, if you're still here watching, you're probably not who I was directing any of that at. So
oh, absolutely.
Love you all anyways.
Yeah. Yep, it gets frustrating. Needed to vent about it. I know it gets annoying to a lot of people, but...
What was the quote, Chauncey's quote of the night?
Trev and I agree. That's a great idea. Bouquet says we appreciate that you regulate the idiots. I mean, that's a little harsh for me, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we do try and regulate chat. It's just always funny how it's supposed to be an open forum for other people to insult us, and if it's the other way, it's a problem. Crazy.
Let's see if I can find this.
Smog, I'm down to run some. I need to get my mind off math. So anyway, we'll be live again on Sunday, which is earlier stream.
Yep. Chauncey's quote of the night was, I thought it was good to challenge Shaedon with those tough matchups. I'll continue to do that. It's the only way he'll continue to learn. Would have liked that 3 months ago, but we'll take it, right?
Sorry, I just read a comment that just is completely off the wall, and did not hear anything you said.
Oh, man. Chauncey's quote of the night was, "I thought it was good to challenge Shaedon with those tough matchups. I'll continue to do that. It's the only way he'll continue to learn." Like,
yeah.
I wish he would have known that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. The Dawn, if you leave, that's not something to joke about like that. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Challenge Sharpe. Give him minutes to develop. Amazing concept. I guess that means that Chauncey has fully bought the tank because he actually bought into that line of thinking and hadn't until now. Crazy. Crazy.
Who y'all got for the Final Four? Johnson, or I know Tori's gonna say UConn. It's so crazy.
I think UConn's the best team left.
Yeah.
They're good, dude.
I think Kansas State's probably gonna win that one over Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
Who's in the other one? Creighton and San Diego State.
Yeah,
Jesus,
I don't think
man.
San Diego State's that good, man. I mean, I
They're
know
good
they
defensively,
made it there, but dude, yeah, their offense the first half was so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama just couldn't. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be Creighton. It's gonna be Creighton, Kansas State, UConn, and Texas is good.
Did they win tonight? I didn't see that.
Yeah, they blew out Xavier.
They're the only
Texas
2
is
seed
legit.
left.
Yep.
No 1 seeds for the first time ever.
But it's crazy because I think the 3 best teams left in this tournament are UConn, Texas, and Gonzaga, and they're on. One of those teams won't make it because UConn and Gonzaga are playing each other, and then one of those teams will either play Texas or Miami. So it's like 3 of the top 3 teams are on the same side. You're either gonna dude, that's so crazy. You're either gonna have Creighton, San Diego State, Kansas State, or Florida Atlantic in the championship, which is wild. UConn's the only team left that's won a championship before. So, oh God, if Gonzaga loses, I'll be very upset. All right, I need a championship.
I mean, it's wide open for them. Unfortunately, they got the 2 toughest teams on their side of the Elite 8.
I know.
But,
I mean, you got to beat. If you win a championship, you probably would have to beat those teams at some point anyway, you know, so that's how I'm looking at it. Last time UConn won was with Shabazz Napier, yep. They were a 7 seed.
Can you imagine watching Tori last night?
Oh my God, dude.
After Gonzaga's down, 13 or 15 or something like that? And they come all the way back to take, a 12-point lead or something? And it looks like the game's over. And they just completely melt down, can't make a free throw. So they go from UCLA choking it to all of a sudden Gonzaga just absolutely craps the bed and is down 1. And this guy, Julian Strouthard, has the cojones to take that shot and hit it. Man, crazy.
Yeah.
Love college basketball. So
that was
awesome.
Dude, I was so shook that they choked. They were up 10 with 2.5 minutes left.
Yep.
They were up 8 with a minute and a half left or something like that. 9 or something like that. Got Terrell Owens in the Gonzaga fan section going crazy. Did you see that?
Yeah, well, that was random.
So Malachi Smith played at Chattanooga, and that's where T.O. went. So Malachi Smith transferred to Gonzaga. T.O. was supporting him.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's why he was in the Gonzaga fan section. Because otherwise it's completely random. But I was so sad.
Tori went from, "Oh, my teams are cursed, this sucks, I have the worst luck ever," to "Let's go," and then he's like, "No, this is the worst ever again." And then
yeah, I'm a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, how do you choke a 9-point lead with a minute and a half left? They legitimately missed 4 out of 5 free throws. They fouled
that's
on 2 and 1s.
Yeah.
They threw a pass out of bounds to no one, and then they give up a wide open 3 when they were up 2. Like, it was impressive. It was such a epic choke job, and they still won after being down 14 in the first half. Like, just absolutely crazy. How do you down 14 in the first half and have what would have been like the most epic choke job in tournament history and win all in the same game?
Mm-hmm.
That's my teams for you. So they'll find a way to not win the championship. I'm very confident of that because, I am cursed, but, at least I get to have another heart attack for another game. Really test out my heart, And if UConn wins it all, I could win our bracket pool. So, but I don't care. I don't want to win our bracket pool. I want a freaking championship, man.
Connor, that's funny. Nick, I don't smoke anything, so I wouldn't do that on stream.
What's the lowest Strother gets drafted?
I'm boring.
I have no idea. I mean, he could fall to mid to late second. If he's there with the Blazers second, I would love to take him. We talk about how we need a shooter off the bench, and he's 6'7", and a sniper, and then when he gets a run off the line, he'll get to that floater in the league. Like, he'll be able to get that floater off. Like, I think he'll be a solid scorer in the NBA for sure. It's just, can he play good enough defense to not be a negative? I think he has a chance. I wouldn't count on it at all, but I think he could be okay. It's a bit optimistic, but he'll probably be negative, but he seems like one of the safer second-round picks.
Do you think he's legit 6'7"?
Yeah. I'm questionable. I feel like he might have a negative wingspan, though. I don't know what his wingspan is. His arms are definitely not the longest. So, like, lengthwise, he's not the best, but it's like, I mean, most optimistic scenario, I feel like he could be like, maybe like Cam Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Similar height, wingspan, shooting ability. Cam Johnson wasn't looked at as somebody who would ever be a solid defender in the NBA when he got drafted, and then he became one. So I feel like it's kind of the same with Strother. So that's why I'd take him with a second-round pick for sure if he's there. And he's clutch.
Yeah, it was a big shot.
He won earlier in the year at BYU, too. Like, he does not shy away, so I like that.
Yeah.
Smart player, too.
Taylor asked if we talked draft prospects at all this stream. We actually did. When we did Tankathon, we got the 7th pick, and we kind of did a mock draft and then talked about prospects.
That's what started the math argument, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I said it would be a cursed thing, to end up with 7th 2 years in a row. And that's what started the debate. So, anyway. 6'9" wingspan is what it's listed as, but I don't think that's official.
Did he measure at the combine last year?
Actually,
he might have.
I'll check. Metric NBA 2022. Strother. Oh yeah, he did. Height without shoes is 6'5" 3/4.
That's what I thought.
His wingspan is 6'9.5". His standing reach is 8'8.5".
It's not bad.
I want to compare that to Cam Johnson.
I'm not a fan of his shot mechanics, but it's gone in all year.
Yeah, I mean, he gets it off. Cam Johnson was 6'7" without shoes with a 6'10" wingspan, but an 8'7" standing reach compared to 8'8" for Strother. And Cam Johnson does have a long neck, so I think yeah. You draft Strother with the best case scenario is like he ends up being a Cam Johnson. Yeah. His shot's weird, but he gets it off quick, so it's like low set point, so maybe you'll have trouble getting it off, but he gets it off quick enough that I don't think it'll be a problem. And he's so good at tagging closeouts, if guys close out that hard at him, he'll get into the lane and get to that floater, which is like one of the best floaters I've ever seen from a dude that's 6'6", 6'7". Like, his floater's really good, so.
Gordon says he used to care a lot about mechanics until he saw Halliburton.
Yeah.
See, the thing about Halliburton, though, it's like replicable. Like, it's weird looking, but he shoots it basically the same every time. I feel like Strother kind of, I don't know, kind of moves his arm in, like, when he shoots, versus, like, most good shooters are more straight up and down. I don't know.
Ooh, look, we just had something made. Grant just got this to me. I'll throw it up on the stream. It's beautiful.
Is this the tank emoji thing?
It's the Blazer tank.
Yeah.
It's the Blazer tank.
We need to add it as an emoji here in chat.
Yeah. Yeah. For channel members, click that join button if you want a Blazer tank emoji to be able to spam when we tank. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. I can throw that in the thumbnail instead of the tank that I have. Hell yeah. We can just have it like resting real small down here. Beautiful. Beautiful scenes. Well, the stream is complete. We got a Blazer tank. We have like 10 available emojis that we could add, so I should get on that. Anyway, anything else for whatever the hell this stream was?
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hope to see you Sunday. Have a good weekend, guys. For those of you in Oregon and in school like Smog, have a good spring break.
Yep. Anyway, this has been the Blazers Downrise Tank Rise show. Brought to you by Bet Online. Promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% rewards. And we're out of here. Have a good morning if you're in the U.S. Unless you're in Hawaii. In that case, I'm jealous. I'm out of here. We're out of here. Goodbye. Catch you Sunday. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.